Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. So I'm working again today with my little snippet journal. So when Jennifer Clouston does a video, 10-15 minute little snippet video, I've got somewhere to go to have a little play and to record my journey as well with the embroidery. Now, if you're not familiar with Jennifer, these are her 3 books. If you've been part of the Roxy Creations project, we've all sort of been dancing around in this one quite a lot because it's really great way of learning stitches, but there are a couple others in the range and I'm finding I'm drifting into some of those as well, just to get ideas. And you know, there's some little butterflies and dragonflies in some of them that you can work with. So I finished filming the video for this and I just had a mess everywhere and could think of 20 more little jobs to do. So I've literally just turned the camera back on, but probably a week has gone by. So I'm just going to continue on with the project. I have stitched down all of the elements that we placed on the background. So this is literally ready to embroider and it will be attached to the journal. My journal, as an hour has only gone by, is still drying, so I can't do too much fiddling around with all that, otherwise it just won't adhere. But what I thought of doing was attaching the back piece. So I want to do that in today's video and I can actually, you know, get that on. But in the meantime, remember I said I was going to do a little satchel or a little pack of goodies to go with the whole project. That way, as I'm traveling between Brisbane and the house, sort of moving house, I've got some little bits and pieces with me. So I've grabbed out this satchel that I made some time ago just by cladding a heap of little doily elements on it. And I've tucked in there some hessian and also the 2 labels that we made in the previous video. They're in there. And the ratty bit of really thick hessian is in there, which is slowly disintegrating, but that's okay. I might even just use it as, you know, little threads and morsels to create some grass in around, like that. Who knows? So that's in there down the bottom. So it's really just becoming my grab and go. I cut off a piece of this fabric from the main pieces, so I just wanted to start doing a few of those little jobs and then I can put this project away, so to speak. I'll just cut another little piece of that off. I really don't know what I'll need or if I need it all, but I just want to know that it's with me if I'm traveling. So it's sort of going to become my little project that I can grab and do something with. But I need some little decorative morsels with me. So now this can all go in the cupboard, which is great, which is where I'm attempting to head with this project. The other thing I was thinking, now what am I thinking first? I thought maybe we'll come, what am I going to do next? We'll come back to that. When I was stitching this and I was thinking about, oh great, now I can just attach that onto there when we're, you know, we're ready to go. But I'm thinking we might do a cluster on the back here because it's a bit plain. It's a bit plain for me. So I'm just going to rummage into my basket of tricks and just see what I can find. Let's put those in here. So I'm sort of tidying up the project, but I thought I'll turn the camera on because I'm sort of creating a few little jobs for myself, stitching wise. I'm thinking we'll do something on the back corner while we're at it and everything's out. Let's get this ratty looking. Remember, it's a botanist's journal. They never really looked real neat and tidy, did they? When you see them in the museums. Does mean a lot of threads. So once again, I'm just going to cluster this piece of Japanese fabric was sitting here, so I like the look of that. I just take an extra bit off while we're at it, pop it in the little satchel for a rainy day. I may never use them, but fabrics tend to disappear into the abyss because I've got so many projects on the go, and I'd hate to get into this little journal and go, oh, I'd love a little morsel of that, but it's too late. It's gone. So what else have we got? This piece was sitting here after we finished filming. I sort of don't really want triangles, but maybe a little ratty rectangle might be handy. Let's just get it in the space. What else is in my little box of treasures? This is a little gift bag. It had a rabbit on it, and I used the rabbit in Down the Garden Path, and I have been nibbling away at it. It's just the gift that keeps giving. It's nice and small. There's all sorts in here. Bar that tag, we can probably get rid of that. But all of these little seams and things, they just create great texture. I've already taken the string out of it, but even that unpicked, there's still quite a bit of fabric there. So let's pop that in the treasury of morsels. Let's have a look at this. What can we do with this little guy? Where are we heading with this, Corrine? It's getting bigger than Ben-Hur. I was sort of thinking along the lines of just something. What else could we add? I feel like I need something textured. Let's have a look at a little piece of crochet. Let's say he's got a morsel of crocheting, our botanist, from his wife as a memory, as a trinket. We're going to put it in there. Not that I want too much crocheting or lace in this, but maybe the little feminine touches are not a bad idea for this fellow. Try not to spread myself out too far. The girl just gets out of hand. There we go. Got some beautiful Japanese fabric. Using up some scraps. Let's just pin it down. And then you know the rules. Invisible stitch next. And then we'll do some embroidery on it. Probably not in this video. It's just never enough time. But just get it prepped. Get it into my little stash so that will sit on the back, and we'll do something embroidery wise there from the Jennifer world. Okay, I'm happy with that. What I did want to do also is go back through this label book. It's sitting on my desk from, you know, filming last week's video, and there was all sorts of pieces in here. I just want to explore some of these other elements and just come on out. it's already reinforced on some card. So it says the word journal. Where's the front one? Here we go. No, it's probably a little bit predictable. I'll just have a rummage through and maybe there's an opportunity to create some other little elements that can go into my little satchels so they're with me. What's that? Nothing. Here they all are. Dream, inspire, treasure. Wonderful. Wonderful could work. Is that tooting my own horn if I do a little stitchery and then put the word wonderful on it? Let's keep him out. But let's get in amongst some of these, like flower, wonderful, bloom, nature. Maybe bloom. Oh, gosh, got no fingernails at the moment and it's making it hard to pick up these little, yeah, bloom. That'd be a good one to have. Botany, we've got botanize, to study. Get a red one of those. Botanical, another play on the whole. Let's do that one. Vegetation. Pollinate. There's a green one. Pollinate. We'll mix the colours up a little bit. It'll force me to seedling. Sapling. Woodland. Floral. Flora. Nature. Fern. I don't think I'm going to be stitching a fern. Stem. It's another one. And if I don't use them, it won't really matter because they're just little pieces to, you know, they're ready to go. Tree, heath, forest. I'm not going to stitch a forest or a tree or a heath. It'll be all blooms and things like that, I think. I think that's probably, oh, that was the other thing I had thought of. Random numbers. You know, when they scribble little notes. That one there looks good. You can't quite read what it is, but it's just like a little notation. 1884. Some of these are from fabric, you know, samples of fabric. So I've got to be a little bit picky here so that I get that. So it's sort of, see, that's 4 foot. It could be a 4 foot plant. So I don't want anything that's got too much of a fabric reference. So just a few of those little guys. That's enough. It's getting out of control. They're all stitching. So I want to add some of these little treasures to my work. Now, the next thing is to get them all adhered on my fabric. So I might get rid of this soft, because you really need a hard surface so that the glue you use gets into your fabric and then into your paper and fabric sort of become one. So what we're going to do is move to this sort of surface. So let me have a look at the camera. I think my husband's coming for breakfast, so excuse the noise that he'll make as he clangs around in the kitchen. It's either that or the wind just blew the door. No, I can hear footsteps. So he's making his way to the kitchen. And this is where he clings and clangs around, so you may or may not hear it. Okay, everything seems a bit out of whack. The excitement of it all. Okay, there's a morsel of fabric I just spotted that looks rather interesting. Let's go. So it's a case of glue and then stick down onto your fabric. Give it a bit of a press. I might close the door because he's noisy. Hang on one moment, guys. That's better. I'll put these little ones. So I'm trimming them first because I then can just trim them with a bit of fabric in behind them. So they'll look rather cute. Having that little bit extra texture. I might use this as my glue pad. I can't see where the glue is. Oh, there's so much glue. Oh. There we go. Just pop that one there. Oh my goodness, getting sticky fingers. So used to working with needle and thread that when you go back to the good old-fashioned glue, it gets messy quick. There we go. Just need a little bit extra under that corner. All right, so that was just a snippet of fabric I found. I need something to clean my fingers. Baby wipes here. Which are very, very wet. Which is very, very unpleasant. Oh my goodness. All right, we're ready. This one here, I think, needs to be just trimmed a little bit. We've only got little pages, so we can't go to using my fabric scissors. No one saw that, did they? Oh my goodness me. Okay. Another one into position. It's good they're all different colours too, because as you do your little snippets of stitchery, you've got, you know, options. I usually use old book page to do gluing on, but I've packed all that type of stuff up and it's waiting for the move. So the benefit of doing this is to reinforce all of these little paper tags. Just helps them sit within stitchery a little bit better. You could Mod Podge over them, you could put resin over them, you can do all sorts of things to make them, you know, like little charms and things like that. But for me, in a journal, I'm quite confident that they will be, you know, safe and not get damaged in any way. Another one down. I might try and get a long one up through there. Ellie picked up the fabric scissors. Just put them away, girl. Oh, my goodness me. You're probably wondering, when is the girl actually going to stitch into her little journal? She will. She's just getting herself organised so that she can literally stitch and have some little yummy bits and pieces that she can pull. Because otherwise you're stopping and starting and carrying on. I sort of like to prep some little elements and have them at my fingertips. Otherwise I don't know, I'd probably stitch it and not bother. But being that we've gone down this rabbit hole, let's just get a few made, get them into the little satchel, and then they're with me. And I know I've got a great little project that I can stitch on in the car. I can, you know, quickly turn on the camera for you guys, prep it in some way, like maybe sketch in a design, get the stitching started, then stitch it all the way on the road. See, that's crooked cutting, you know, in the car. And then when I get there, it's finished and it just goes into the journal. And then I can turn the camera back on and say, hey, I've done it. So it'll be a handy little project to have for me as I travel a bit between properties. So that's the plan. The stitching the seasons is another good one too, because I can pack that up into quite a small space, needle and thread, some wools or some threads, and away I go. So you gotta love that project as well. I can take my camera wherever I may be and just set up, bring you guys along as needed. It's coming up with little projects to do that are movable, which luckily stitching's not too bad, but it's a bit hard to drag my mannequin for my Roxy. But these little things, they're really good. Really don't need this many, to be honest. But they're done. Be nice to have a few, even though, you know, what I don't use. Not a lover of that one. I'll do nature. What I don't use can slide back into that journal that I keep all my ephemera labels in. So if I make a journal in the future, whether it be paper or fabric, I can just grab it and there'll be some backed ones ready to go. I'll just continue that line. I want to make maximum use of this. It's a very fine cotton. I usually use, like, I've got business cards here, but I have one of those scrapey things that I usually go over it, but that's all been packed away in the process of at least send some of my project things pollinate to the other house, you know. Otherwise I'll never ever move out of this room, so I've sort of been pinching things out, popping them in a box. Like all my wool is packed up for when I do crocheting of blankets, all that's packed. A lot of my books are packed. I've just kept my absolute favourites out because I'm always picking them up and referring to them with you guys. Excuse me. So, is that going to fit there? It's a bit tight. Wonderful. Not convinced of that one. have a tiny little plastic satchel somewhere. I might slide them all. I'll trim them and slide them all into that to protect them. Yep, that's good. If I find that they're peeking up, might as well keep going, hey? Got room on my page of fabric, my piece of fabric. If I find that the edges are peeking up, I'll just come back through with some glue, probably the art glitter glue, because it has that tiny little nib on it. So I can sort of just squeeze it under and could even take this to the sewing machine next and run a line of stitch around them all, just for another little element to them. Well, that's worked out well. I thought I was pulling too many out of the book for the piece of fabric I have. Oh, that's not even, I can see all the edges. Oh, now I'm cutting through a gluey piece of paper. My goodness me. But it's all good. Whatever. Nothing that can't be cleaned up. Okay. And one more. We'll do the stem. It's here. We got space. We're going well for time, so that's good. Now what I'll probably do is pop these under my big green mat here, which has got a bit of weight to it, and just apply a bit of downward pressure on them all, and that will just, you know, they can sit under there. And that's good. Now clean up the mess, put the lid on the glue girl. Just bear with me. Don't want excessive, that went into the bin, for goodness sakes, Nellie lost it. I don't want glue on my glass mat kicking around, so I'm just going to grab my wet one, give it a bit of a clean. That's it. Just taking a moment between projects to clean, it just pays off in the long run. Problem is it often turns out to be a bigger cleaning thing because you just start cleaning. There we go. I'm happy now. Riveting viewing for you guys. Okay, so I'm just going to flip these over and apply a little bit extra pressure to the back of them all, especially around the edge. Can't hurt. Really help that glue to get into the fibres of this cotton. That's good. All right. They're going to be now carefully slid under my big mat. So just bear with me. There we go. All right, let's bring back my big wall mat so that we can play with needle and thread. Right, I'm organised. Now let's bring back these little guys. What I might do is let's get this invisible stitched down. Then we're ready to do some actual Jennifer stitching. I'll have to go back through her videos now, have another little re-watch, have a glance through the books, and have a think about the piece that goes on to these. So I'm just going to run a few little stitches around, just working on my background. So how are you guys all going with your snippets of stitchery? Have you made a little journal to put them in? Or are you just stitching and just gathering them all up for now until you work out what you're going to do with them all? They'd be gorgeous made into like a throw rug over your knee, you know, with just collection of your little embroideries. That'd be beautiful. There we go, whiz up through there. It really is just to tack them down until I can come through and work out, you know, what decorative stitches I'm going to do. And so you could prep a few pages for your journal if you're in a mood just to prep some pages like I am at the moment. Go through and create some bases, slide them into your journal, and then they're ready there to just do your 15 minutes of stitching. Or if Jennifer pops a video up that catches your eye, she might be doing some ribbon embroidery and making some gorgeous flowers, then you can just, you know, grab it and go for it. I do have a little stitchery from when I did the class with Jennifer. I never really got back to finish it in any great degree, and it's on this green linen. I haven't yet revisited that and potentially got it to size, and it's probably a little bit too elegant for this journal, so we probably need to scrappy it up a bit so that it feels like it's part of this project. At the moment it's just me creating a daisy with ribbon embroidery, and it's not scrappy enough. So how are we going for time? Going just fine. Maybe we grab that next and see what we can do to it to add some little morsels to it while I've got all this gear around me. At least that's 3 potential projects then that I've got ready to go. The back page, or the back, you know, the plate of fabric that's going on the back of my journal. We've got the front one here, and if I grab that little stitchery I started, because I finished the main piece, we sort of just started stitching, you know. There was no project in mind. I just went and bought a piece of beautiful, this olive green linen from the patchwork shop that I was doing the class in. And in my head, I had actually thought maybe I could do a, you know, my Japanese storage tote rice bag things, 4 sides, 4 stitcheries. So in my head at the time, I was like, oh, well, that'll do. So I just cut a piece of fabric and went for it. But the tones of it are really suiting this. So I think we're going to adapt the piece to suit. The other thing I need to do is work out the exact size that these little stitcheries need to be, and I need to prep some muslin to have ready in the journal that I can use it as my stabilizing fabric, or some calico is another name for it if you're in Australia. The Americans, you call it muslin, we call it calico, but I'm sure you know that by now. There's enough of us Aussie girls on YouTube fiddling around that you're probably getting quite au fait with all of the words that we used. I like this little piece of crocheting. I know I don't want a lot of it in here, but I do like it. Nice little touch. I like the colour. I like that little bit of texture. I can bring the stems of flowers out of it, whatever it may be that I stitch. That's up to you guys what you stitch. You don't need to stitch what I'm stitching, but I'm all about showing you a space of which to stitch within. Somewhere to keep your 15-minute snippets. Okay, that's it. And now I'm coming down onto this little bit of green. You know, as I said in the last video, if you want to do, you know, a big tacking stitch like that, that's fine. You could run, let's do it. What the hang? Let's do a nice big tacking stitch along there. And it can be a decorative element. We'll go right through, just for the love of it. It'll do the job of, you know, holding my piece down, but also it shows where the sewer has been, I guess. It's like seeing the journey of the piece. We'll just do that little tacking run there. If you don't like it, you can always snip it and it'll be gone. So I think I've got everything pretty secure. I just have to do a little bit there, and that's pretty good. So I've got some beautiful Japanese fabric there. I've got some bits and pieces from Op Shop finds. That's a table runner. That was the little bag with a little drawstring bag, which I've been nibbling at for ages. Gosh, if I saw another one of them in the Op Shop. Actually, I think a friend of mine who's just got her eyes peeled for me, she found it. She said, do you think you can use it? I'm like, yes, it's got a rabbit on it. The rabbit went into the French down the garden path garden, down in the bottom corner of it. Yeah, that's good. I really like that tacking stitch I did. I might do, not that you'll see it, I might do it up here as well. What the hang, let's just do it. It's all layers, isn't it? It's all adding interest. I might go across here. So it looks like that piece at the back there is tacked down. That's cool. I like that. While we're at it. All right. So now that is all secure. And I was thinking along the lines of one of those little itty bitty labels. Let's just sneak under here, see if we can see it. Yep, there he is. One of these little itty bitty labels being added. Just trim him out. I like the little ones. I might have to find more. Because they're just a little, like he's sketched, you know, he's just made a note on it about, it might be a catalogue number, you know, just a little, let's bring that up, just a little something. So as for the plant, I'll probably like just keep it real small. Just a little something. And then go from there. Get a bit of a swish on it. Like it's come from that direction, might be nice. And then up. Just a guide. Anything could happen. It's just a guide. So it'll be just a little morsel of embroidery on there. And then it'll go on the back of the journal. Now this one, I won't be able to draw too much on this hessian because, you know, of the surface. But I'm thinking there'll be this line out here, and then we might even get a second line, but we'll see how it sort of comes together. And then one up through here, one up through here. So we'll just put a few guidelines, purely just a bit of a feeling. We might even be able to get something in over here and then bring the branch maybe right down to here, start it down low, and get ourselves a really nice stem stitch up there and then branch off accordingly. So that's sort of what I'm thinking there. Okay, now let's cut down these just so they're in a bit smaller. I'm concentrating. I don't want to cut my fingers. Okay, beautiful. So we've got lots of little labels. These would be great. Like I've got more labels than I need, but you know. They'll be with me. I will find that little plastic satchel. Can I still see where they were? I can. Hold that thought, guys. On Amazon, I picked up some storage bags ages ago. You know, they're just a plastic, like a plastic, oh, they're from my dentist. These come with, you know, toothbrush, toothpaste once you go and have your checkup. But I picked these up from Amazon ages ago, way back in the beginning, and I was putting bits and pieces in them for projects, and the zips break and they're just nasty. So I'm slowly using them and they're literally falling to pieces. And I'm pretty sure, yeah, here we go. Now these These were from Officeworks as a pack of plastic storage solutions, and they're a lot better, but if I'm too heavy-handed, this little slips off. But they're really good for when you've got something like this that's got to be protected a little bit, and you've got them with you. That'll keep them nice and flat, and then I can slide that into there as well. So I've definitely got the start of something. What I don't have in my little kit is some of these check fabrics that might pop up again, just to build my theme. I won't take all of them because, you know, I don't need all of them. But I do want to put a piece of that blue in there. Now, the next thing I want to do, how much time we've got? We've got 15 minutes. Okay. So there's my little satchel. I want to have a look at what size page is needed for my artwork. I can't use this because it goes to the perimeter for my stitcheries. It goes to the perimeter of the actual cover. So I need to be a fraction smaller. Now, calico. Let's grab my calico and let's see what we can rip and prep. Let's move some, make some space with this little guy up here. Now I need my measuring stick. So we want to be just inside the perimeter. This is your background to do your embroidery onto. So you would have your basic calico and then you layer in all your pretty bits and then stitch like we did on the cover. So it's that piece. I want some of those bases ready to go. So just measuring here, we want them to be, I'm going to do 4 3/4. So this is for that little Reader's Digest, and come in a little bit. If it was 7 and a smidge, it would be pretty good. So that's the size of my plates that I'm going to stitch on. Not plates, what do you call it? A base. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4, and repeat 8. So minimum 8 is what we need. And that's before we do any flip outs. So I've got some scrap corners here that I think might get me out what I need. All right. Let's zoom up a little bit so you can see what the hang I'm doing. Let's just tidy this up a little bit and get some straight edges. Get some of these scrappy bits off. So let's get one out at least. If we go 7, it's probably a good idea. Just make some space so you can see a little bit better. Oops, probably don't need to do that. I'm trying to make it tidy. So 7 and a bit was our guide. And 4 3/4. So about there. There we go. That is the size of our snippet embroideries. So I might just straighten this edge up. Straighten that edge up, and now I feel like I'm back to a bit of law and order. So now let's just double check everything. It should be smaller than the cover piece because that goes to the boundary of the book, which it is. It should be, yep, it should be bigger than the page that it's being attached to. Yep. And just sit nicely within the book itself. So away we go. And we need 8. Let's get rid of that selvage edge. Now it can be slightly bigger as well. So let's say I find a decorative piece of fabric like a floral. I can actually go a little bit past the boundaries of this and it'll still be within the boundaries of the book. So those few extra, mil will go a long way at the end when I, start collaging. And I'll have bits and pieces hanging outside the journal, guaranteed. I always seem to have morsels everywhere. Doorbell just went, but I think my husband will get that. So that length there is the 7 and a bit. See, Pepper's just heard the doorbell. So now I can snip and rip, which I already have. Snip and rip. The postie is delivering a parcel. Wonder what that could be. Probably nothing exciting. It's probably just cat food. Get another one up this end. Snip and rip. Okay, so that's my template. Number 2. Number 3. So if you were putting one of these together for a gift, for example, Christmas is coming and you might have a mate that does stitching with you, you could make them a journal that gets them started, like a project journal. Be a lovely gift. I would love that if someone gave me that. I would be like off on another rabbit hole. So there is 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. So we only need another 3, and that is a template then ready. I reckon that there will be fairly close. I'll just go that way. I don't want to be too stingy. So it was a little bit short. So let's make sure we're not, creating too small of a background. Doesn't really matter, but, the girl needs space to create. How are we going for time? I'm slowly getting this piece level. When you start nibbling into fabric like your calico, it's gets messy quick, doesn't it? Nothing's ever exactly the width of the fabric. So what I'd probably do then, if I was gifting this to someone, I'll be able to get the 3 extras I need this way. Yeah, and if I was gifting this, I would then just do a couple tacking stitches, maybe an X, to hold these little elements on the page in question. I'll show you what I mean. We're going well for time. The project's nearly prepped. I feel really good about this now. I think it was worth continuing filming. Like I said at the beginning, I literally did the one video started tidying up, realised I had everything I needed to probably get my journal completely ready to, you know, hit the road and have it with me. And I thought, if I go and tidy up and then pull this all out in a couple of days' time, it'll drive me bonkers. So let's get rid of all the threads. I thought, bugger it, turn the camera on. Okay, because even the glue is still drying. Poor little journal, I've been fiddling around with it. So if you were gifting this to someone, I would then, and I might even do it, X marks the spot, put in a tacking stitch that they can easily just snip and remove the page and go and create their little stitchery. So first page, oh, there's one there already. Okay, first page, just open that up, lay it into position and do a cross just to hold it there. And then they just snip that to remove the page, and it keeps your journal together. As easy as that. You'd have to do this if you were going, say, on a train trip or something, on a holiday, and you just wanted it with you, done, ready, just to stitch. I might turn it around, might make it a bit easier. So I'm just doing a second, put a knot, girl. I'm trying to rush because I can see there's literally 3 minutes to the hour. So I'm just now knotted, and then it falls out of the needle. Oh, what the hang, don't rush. We go 5 minutes over. What's it matter? I'm sure you're all sitting there doing something creative anyway. So now I just finish my little crisscross. A couple little stitches to hold the thread without worrying about a knot then. I just knot it ready for the next page. So that little base plate that you will stitch into is now attached to the page, so it's not going to fall out. Now I'm going to assume that there'll be a pretty one here. Where's my little templates I had? There'll be a pretty embroidery there, that one will be there, and those two will get joined together. So at this stage I'm going to assume that. So that means that this plate or this base can go here. Once again, just a little cross just to hold it in. Nothing better than having everything prepped, I reckon. Because you find too, like, I don't know if it happens to you, but you start a project, you never quite finish it. So if it's a case of the space of which it's going to be in, like a journal, is prepped and ready, you're going to finish it, because all you've got to do is do your little stitchery and come back and add it. Like, it's pretty simple, really. Okay. Oops. What's the saying? Less haste and more waste? I don't know. Isn't there a saying where you take your time, don't race? Someone please write that in the comments, because I can't remember. Okay. So did I do that right? I didn't do it right, guys. Why didn't you stop me? Yeah, no. So I did it wrong. It would be all right if we were going to put a stitchery here, but I bet you it's because I'm racing to get this done before the end of the video, and I've jiggered it up. We need that to be there, like that. I might pin them because I can't think, stitch and talk at the same time. So girl, that's going to be stitched there. This one will be stitched here. This will give you a bit of an idea too of how the thicknesses are going to go for you. But don't forget, if you're going to pull the ribbons out and do some ribbon embroidery, the thicknesses will really happen quickly. So that's the first signature. Let's do the rest of them. I didn't even check if I've even got the 8 I need, but that's okay. It's all good. Okay, and then that will go there. This one will be stitched. So how organised am I now? I love it. We've just gone on the hour. Gosh, time flies, doesn't it? Let's have another go. This one. Remember, these were a little bit short when we were ripping these together. And this is where it just doesn't matter, because the embroidery piece, your base, your stabilising fabric, sort of absorbs those little issues if there are any like that. And there's my last one, should be this one. Now the only other thing that I would consider prepping is the piece that goes here and on the cover. Now I'm thinking I'm going to leave it, because let's say I go crazy with the ribbon embroidery and knots and elements and fabrics, and it gets really bulky. Then the flip out idea where we were going to, you know, attach that and it flips out so you could have a stitchery here and a stitchery here may not happen. It might be just a stitchery here. So let's give ourselves wriggle room. Let's not get too far ahead of ourselves, because we really don't know how it's going to evolve yet. But that already is bulking up, because now I've got those elements in. See, it's amazing how quickly it fills. So there's still plenty of room, but ribbon embroidery, yeah, could get away. The only other thing that I might do, which I won't film, I don't think, because I think you get the general gist, is I revisit this embroidery and get it to size for the journal. So in that case, I would get myself one of these base plates, which we can now because we've got one. I would remove my base plate. I'm now going to consider doing an actual embroidery, and being that I've got this one already started, look at that, I will use that as my guide, and it will be a fraction bigger than what I need. So let's do it. Where's my dressmaking scissors? There you are. Let's just stabilize it all. So this little guy now is heading towards the journal and is going to have a home there. I'll cut it so it's ready, and then in another video, another day, we will theme it so that it best, I'm going to go a fraction bigger than my, so this is a prime example of collaging your background. Look at those morsels. I'll have to go in my little envelope, won't they? A prime example of having just that little extra space to expand out. You can see that's crooked, so that's good old calico. It's a bit whoopy. So I'm going to cut that straighter down the bottom. Look at that selvage. Doesn't that look yummy? Now you can stabilise your fabrics with all of these mediums, like Palin, iron-on Palin and that, or by the time you have layered in some of your fabrics, it's not needed because you've already got layers. I guess the slow stitch world, when you start using some backgrounds, let's put that aside, have a look at our little piece of embroidery, and hopefully I've done it okay. There we go, there she is, ready to go. Still got a stitch or two to fix. Now that will go on there. And once again, invisible stitch it down. But we will just pin it for now. And in another video, we will revisit this embroidery where, like, let's just, gosh, we're going way over time now. I'll get some additional snippets of fabric and try and get them in with it so it looks like it's all part of the story. It might be a case of I need to undo something, or maybe it can come across the bottom and look like it is part of the original plan. But we're taking something that I've already started and attempting to make it fit in our journal. Could even be on the first page, but let's put it back here. And it's ready to have a play with on a rainy day when we want 15 minutes of stitching. Look at that, my first Jennifer stitchery. Journal is prepped. Journal is ready. Cover is nearly there. The back cover's there. Oh, it's coming together now, guys. So there you go. Fantastic. And you know what? I might even just keep this signature that we didn't use because I was concerned that 3 wouldn't all fit. We might just pop it in the pack because maybe I might need it. So let's put that in there. Let's put some of this yummy green fabric in. The rest I'll put in my stash. I was looking over my shoulder here and I started glancing in this bucket of goodies too. So I might even have a look. Oh, a little bit of camphor quilt. That'd be fun as the inspiration on a page. A bit of old quilt. Pop that in. These are all just little bits that might inspire. Bit of ticking. You see how it goes. Like the girl is just forever fiddling. Bit of that. Oh, goodness me. It's green. I like it. What else is in here? A little bit of red ticking. Can't hurt to have a piece of that. So I pretty much now, other than threads, got myself some morsels that will be inspiring. Don't know what length I'll need, doesn't really matter. They're just bits. There's a bit of texture. All right, that's enough. Maybe I could do something with those flowers. Anyway, stop. Enough. Enough. That's excellent. I've got all sorts in there. And my little labels. So that's my little parcel. So like I said, if you were doing a gift for someone, you could theme the book to this point. Nearly lost that little guy. Put some snippets of fabric with it. What a gorgeous gift. Beautiful. Bit of pale blue. Chuck it in. Can't hurt. All right, guys, I'm going to say goodbye because otherwise this camera will just keep going and you'll never, ever get rid of me. All right, good on you guys. Bye.